All right, welcome back to episode 11 of the Versatility Podcast. I'm your host, Juelz. Hi, my name's Juelz, and this is my brother who's here today. My older brother. I have two brothers. If you guys didn't know, I'm a good old middle child. But yeah, that's neither here or there. But this is my brother. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Justin. I am the original copy, the one who came before. Um, but yeah, I'm Julian's older brother by 2 years.
Two and
Been
a half. No, 2 in the 3 months.
2 and a couple months. Yeah. Either way, I've been looking after this knucklehead for as long as I can remember. But yeah, that's who I am. Nothing too special about me. Just the one who had to be in charge of that one and the other. We don't need to talk about that other one.
Oh man, little bro Joe, he chilling, you know.
Oh yeah, he's chilling.
Little bro Joe, man. But yeah, guys, this
He hasn't tried to hit you with a flashlight recently, right?
Oh no. We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that.
Not gonna get into that. Okay.
If you know, you know. All right, but yeah, so we're just gonna actually I would like to know like just what do you do and stuff like that. You say you're just a normal person, but you do a little some. So like, what are like college or like, day job, whatever. I don't know what he does, I'm just a guy. Like, what do you do? That's what I'm saying. Like, come on.
All right. Well, I am a sociology major over at UWM out here in Great Old Milwaukee. Outside of that, I'm going to be starting a job as retention sales with Spectrum. Outside of that, my free time, I've been starting to stream a little bit just as something to do, just because I have nothing better to do in this little lull right now. But outside of that, I am very passionate about all things like horror movies, anime, big on superheroes at all times. You can thank our dad for that one.
Ooh,
yeah. Him and his old Batman ring that he doesn't take off.
Nope. But yeah, so that's my brother. Right. So just gonna get into today. I got a couple things on my mind. So like we have for the last few recent episodes, we're gonna start off with the news today. So today, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows what's going on with this. And this is the George Floyd trial that's been going on recently. And, George Floyd, he died. Is my stuff breaking up a bit?
It's breaking up a little bit, yeah.
Okay, is it better now?
It's better now, yeah. I'm still able to like kind of piece together what you're saying. So if I need you to say something again, I'll let you know.
Well, it's for everybody else too. They gotta know what I'm saying too. But like I was saying, like the George Floyd trial is going on right now. As we all know, he died from having a knee on his neck for the 8 minutes and like 40 something. I don't like to get into like the specifics of that. Me personally, I've never watched the full 8 minutes and however many seconds it was, because it's just like I don't want to subject myself to that. Like it's ridiculous in and of itself, right? So basically, I don't even think this trial should be happening in the first place, but basically the defendant for Derek Chauvin, the guy who murdered George Floyd, it wasn't accidental, and he murdered him. Like,
yes,
just plain and simple, he murdered him.
100%.
The defendant for him is trying to say that George Floyd actually died via drug use, and he had too many drugs in the system, and so the drugs killed him before the loss of oxygen or whatever you want to say. And there are just a few things that bother me about this defendant. First of all, I think this is a sick man to even try to defend Derek Chauvin in the first place. Something that's clearly on video, and everybody in the whole world has seen it already. And the fact that this is even getting to a trial is atrocious and just downright disgusting, and a true example of what it is like here in America, especially for people of color. And so a few of the things that the defendant has said is that the fact that his knee was not on his neck as much as they said it is, or that we all see that it is. Like at one point, because at different angles, you can kind of be like, okay, maybe it wasn't on as much, but at the same time, clearly he's breathing for oxygen. And then there was a medical examiner who had testified as well on things of that nature. And even, I'm pretty sure it was a she, and she was like, George Floyd definitely died from compression and suffocation, because there was a knee on his, what was it? There was pressure all over his body. So he died from multiple points of not having oxygen get to his system. I think it was on like his stomach, his neck, and then the other officers that were also like pressing him down also. And it's just crazy how this defendant, which I gotta admire him for his job. He's doing his job. I'll give him that. He's doing his job. But that's just ridiculous, because he's nitpicking little things that can be misconstrued into playing into his client's way, because that's what a defendant is supposed to do. But it's just crazy to me that this is just happening at all. And then it's been going on for 2 weeks now, after almost a year since it happened. Juelz has been arrested like at least 2 or 3 times. All right, I might be forcing it, but I know he's at least arrested 1 time. And this is just insane. So, what are your thoughts about it, Jay?
So my thoughts on this is it's the same thing every time, where it's like every time something happens to a person of color, it always turns into this entire thing of we need to paint him in the worst light that we possibly can. So like they'll try to dig up whatever they can to make it seem like, oh yeah, like this man deserved to die. Like, and this isn't even a race thing. Like you should never paint anything in a way where it's like this person deserved to die. Like nobody deserves to die in any capacity. And whether or not he actually had drugs in the system does not dispute the matter of the fact that he did in fact die from the fact that he was not able to breathe. Like no one can argue against that. And the fact that it even went to trial, like you said, it's ridiculous, because like we all know that if it were the other way around in any capacity, like we'd already be locked up like instantly. It's not even a question. And the fact that they're pushing this hard for this case, when you're right, it did happen a year ago, you would think that it's already been like said and done. But every time I see this, and this is one thing that frustrates me about the system. So you've seen The Hate U Give, right?
I've seen bits and pieces of it and stuff. Another show I have to watch. I think Mom and Dad watched it with Joe one time, and I was home, and I was like, I don't feel like it right now. But
that's totally fair.
Besides the point.
So like The Hate U Give, it's a great movie, but like it highlights one of the things that that you constantly see happening. So it's same story, like Black males killed by a cop, all this stuff happens, there's riots, there's protests, and then it just stops. Like it just stops, and people go back to living their daily lives. But the problem within that is the fact that there was no solution. There was nothing that was actually fixed. It was just that like we had boiled over, we had this outrage, and then like what they did was they switched the position of it, where they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna stop trying to like fix the problem that happened, and we're just gonna try to quiet the riots so that you guys go back to doing what you were doing. And then that's all we're left with. That's what happens every single time.
Every time.
And it's very frustrating me, because they just deflect the main issue, or they'll do what they did with everything else when we were talking about having like less discrimination or reforming the police, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna ban these Dr. Seuss books, which mind you we got flack for when it was the publishers that did that. Like we didn't say anything about the Dr. Seuss books. Like the ones that did get pulled, they were rough, but there were also ones that no one had read in forever. But Republicans are like, the leftists and Black Lives Matter are trying to cancel Dr. Seuss. I'm like, that's not even on our radar. We're not even thinking about this.
Nobody's thinking about it. They try to scapegoat like the little things that are like, oh man, we can clearly just get rid of that, and we can say we support them. Like, you help one black person out with a job. Now it's like, I did it. That's it. That's all I have to do. What happened to the other millions of other people that are still struggling right now? Why can't you create a program and stuff like that? Why can't you do something that's longer lasting in impact? Like this, like you did for slavery. You didn't just enslave one person. You enslaved half of a continent. And then that continued on and on and on. Why can't you do the reverse of that and help us in return for what you have done? Which is a lot of help has been given to us, but it's still not nearly enough to, as people would say, to give us reparations or such of that nature, which I think reparations is kind of just a weird topic in general. It shouldn't be reparations. It's more so just do the right thing, I guess.
And like I agree with you on that part, especially if we're talking about like slavery as a whole. Like I feel like people around our generation and younger we're a little too far detached for necessarily reparations for slavery. But when you think about the civil rights movement, our grandma was like having kids during that. Like that people, like when you read it in the textbook, it makes it seem like it was so long ago, but like it's still like under 100 years. It has not been a century since like all this happened. And I feel like instead of like I'm not asking for just like give us like X number of dollars for slavery and stuff like that. I'm asking for just a reforming of the system in itself. Because like it shouldn't be a problem where like something happens, you're like, oh, it was just one bad cop or anything like that. That should not be the thing. It should be, this happened. We recognize that it happened. We're going to figure out why it happened and fix it. Instead of like it's like there's this culture around police officers where it's like they all believe that they could do no wrong no matter what. And the people that do see this and are like, hey, like this stuff isn't right, they get shut out or they risk losing their jobs. And it's a fundamental problem with how the police system works as a whole. And so that's why we ask for reforming of the police. We're not saying like get rid of the police entirely or anything like that.
There's a difference between defund and reform. That's two very different things and people we do not need to defund the police. We need to reform, change where things are going, maybe take away a little money. I don't know exactly. I got to get into specifics. I have to do my own research, but it's about changing where you're putting your emphasis on things, where you're putting money, resources, and how people in power are relegating all of that. That's what we actually mean by reforming the police.
Yeah, and this goes along with that. It's like I don't see a reason that like what was this? It was like 2 years ago, I believe. It was like receipts came out for purchases made by, I believe it was the New York Police Academy, and they bought like, it was something just like they bought like 3 jet skis and spent like well over $1 million in the course of a year. And I'm just sitting here like, why can't we take that money and put it into education? Like it's a known thing that like the U.S. education system is not great. We are one of the worst. Like I'm not even trying to get into like the specifics of like the grading scale and how it compares to other countries and how like we have this idea that you have to have like a 90 or higher to prove that you are not proficient but like above proficient within the topic to then be able to go into a decent college to then be able to maybe get a job. Like we need to think about the entire system and the fact that like so many of these problems can be tackled within the school system itself. Like MPS is, let's be honest, MPS isn't great. It has not been for a long time.
Milwaukee Public Schools, for those who don't know. For those who don't know. No, keep going.
Sorry, I should remember not to abbreviate everything that I say. But anyway, you think about MPS and you think about like you're driving around the middle of Milwaukee and you're seeing all these schools, or like where we used to go to when we went to BSC, and you're like the places that you're seeing, it's like they're run down, they need a lot of repair. You have significantly like higher ratios of students to teachers. You're having teachers in like 25 to 30 rooms students, and then you're also having situations where like some schools straight up don't have the money to look into getting stuff like a gym for people to do activities or have any type of really fun, have any type of like arts programs or anything. So like not only are teachers being overworked and underpaid, but you're also putting students in a position where you're not allowing them to explore other options. Like if there's no art program, then you have a student who's just like, well, I guess I'll do like math, even though it's not something I really like. And meanwhile, they're like drawing all the time. They don't have any way to express that within the classroom. And because of that, they just feel like they're just lost the entire time unless they get really lucky like us and are able to go to somewhere else that has more funding.
That leads to why other people, and especially if you're in an impoverished community, actually not even if you're in an impoverished community, because there are people who are in very good situations that end up doing things that usually only people in impoverished and poverty communities end up doing because they don't have an outlet to express themselves, or nobody took the time to understand them. So then they turn to drugs, they turn to violence, they turn to they take explicit music to heart and try to emulate that and things of that nature, whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or anything of that nature. And then they think that they can live that lifestyle when they do not have the resources to live that said lifestyle. But yeah, and that all just ties together, like he was saying, and that's a sociology major right there, right? Just being able to connect everything together, like from that George Floyd stuff, all that stuff, it all trickles down. It's all connected when we talk about these big topics. The reason, and as a final point to this George Floyd thing, the reason why we were mad was not because he killed him. Of course we're mad because of that, but we were mad because of the fact that he was not convicted. If he was convicted and thrown in jail right away, we do not have as much of an issue. But because he is not, and he still is not, it's like, what was those protests for? I saw I tweeted this on my Twitter. I said when I see this trial right now, it makes me feel like all those protests and things that we did last year, almost over 300 days ago, meant absolutely nothing, which I know it meant a lot because a lot of companies have put out ads and stuff like that. They started putting more money towards Black funds and Black colleges and Black universities. My university, Morgan State University, has gotten a lot of funding over the last year. And there are other HBCUs that are getting much more recognition now. You saw the NBA All-Star game. They had a HBCU-oriented All-Star weekend, but it really was just a day because of COVID and all that stuff. But still, like, there's been a ripple effect, but it's like our main goal that we wanted has still not been done. Yes, we got a whole bunch of little stuff now, and that's amazing, but that's why we still riot. That's why we still talk about it now. That's why we have to still talk about it now, because we're not getting the exact results we want, but we already knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but we knew that we had to at least say something to start it happening. And it started with civil rights movement, and now it's here, and it's probably going to continue for another 100 years until we actually get legit change. But that's why we fight for it every day, and even though it gets repetitive, it's what we got to do. So
and real quick, one last thing I want to mention is that because like I personally have met people who are like, I don't like the idea of Black Lives Matter, and I want to come forward and say that like the point of Black Lives Matter is not to like put us above everybody else or anything like that. We just want to be on the same level as everybody else and have the same opportunities that some people get, and they receive these opportunities without even having to ask for it or think about it. It's not the fact of like, we want to be the new in charge and make you all the minority. We want there to be no minority. We just want there to be an equivalent distribution of opportunities amongst all people. Because like, yes, it's Black Lives Matter and everything like that, because, and there's the argument that's like, well, all lives matter. I'm like, yeah, look, we're not saying all lives don't matter. We're saying that Black lives are the ones that are being treated like they don't mean anything, and we need to change that.
Yeah, it's not, we don't want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We want 1. There's no other numbers after that. It's just 1. That's it. That's it. All right. That's what we want. And right now it's 1. Then there's a gap, and it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We just want 1, and that's what it should be. We're all just people at the end of the day. And a skin color and how your eyes look or your accent and all that stuff should not change the fact that we're all human and we all deserve the same amount of chances. So yes, and then to get to the next point that I wanted to go to also, this is gonna be a little bit quicker, but Biden, after being not hassled, but what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't even say provoked, but just by other gun activists and things of that nature that want change now. They kept criticizing Biden for not giving up, for making the change that's necessary after there's been 2 shootings in the last month and a half, and they happened back-to-back weeks. He has actually finally made a new gun law proposal, which are 3 main things. So now there will be red flag legislation. So that's like family and police can petition to temporarily remove guns from dangerous people. Remember, this is just a proposal right now, so it's not passed yet, but these are just the ideas that are in motion that they put pen to paper, and we'll see if it gets passed. But it is very hard to pass gun laws because I don't like naming names, but Republicans, they do not want their gun laws taken away, which is funny because people rarely get like you have cops and all that stuff right now, and it's not, you don't need a gun as much as you think you would unless you are in a like impoverished neighborhood and stuff like that. But that's the issue. The only reason why they need guns is because everybody else got guns illegally, mostly at that. And then the second proposal was stable. So these, you know what a stabilizing brace is, Jay?
Not really. I'm not. You know me. I'm not like.
I know. You're not that stuff. But like, it's basically these are like put on guns or like pistols per se, and basically this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it makes it more powerful, more stable, and all that stuff. So it transforms a pistol basically to a short barrel rifle, and this was actually the gun that was used in the Boulder, Colorado shooting last month. So that's actually good that they're acting on that. And so basically these guns will now be subject to the National Firearms Act, which basically subjects this gun to other laws. I mean, to the other laws that pertain to firearms, dangerous firearms, and things of that nature in terms of the taxes and all that type of stuff. You can look into that if you want as well. And then 3, which is something I didn't know. So you know what a ghost gun is? Nope.
No.
Yeah, so basically a ghost gun, these are gun parts that are shipped and are not classified as firearms. So they are not tracked either. And so basically and the crazy thing is you would think they'd be hard to assemble. No, they're super easy to assemble. They come with like instructions and everything. And then they give you YouTube links on top of that on how to assemble them as well. And these are not tracked at all. And so these guns have been, these guns are the reasons why there's so many shootings in places like, impoverished communities. Man, I've been saying that a lot today, but poverty, the hood, those type of places. This is the reason why they have so many guns and why they can't track these guns, because they're not tracked, because they're just gun parts. And then you can buy them through like a third party or whatever. And so basically what Biden is trying to do is that he wants these to be classified as firearms. And it's just like, why weren't they already classified as firearms? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like they should have been classified like that already, since they are parts to like thinking about it, like just because they're parts, like anybody can figure out how to take the parts and put it together. Like I've seen videos and stuff about like people who like disassemble, clean, and then put together their entire weapon and have to do it in like under 5 minutes. Like realistically, it's not a very difficult thing to do. And it's like, if They're parts to a gun.
Right.
And all the parts are there being shipped. And you know it's for a gun. Why isn't it classified as a firearm?
Exactly. That doesn't make any sense.
Like
that doesn't make any sense at all. And I was just looking, I was like, what? And then it's because at first it's because they weren't an issue at first. Like in the 90s and early 2000s wasn't an issue as much. Then as it got to late 2000s to the 2010s, they kept realizing there were so many of them, and then once they're like formed and stuff, then they try to take them away and stuff. But it's too late by then because they probably already used them all up. They're circling around the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And then at some point this is probably government regulated as well. So have you ever heard of J. Cole's song? What's it called? It's called no. Oh no, fudge! It's on KOD. It's on the KOD, and it's about money, and it's about like how like the government like J. Cole pays these high taxes and stuff like that, right? So because he's a rapper and he makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So he's talking about like I don't want to pay my taxes because I feel like when I pay these taxes, it's going to the government. The government puts this money into guns and stuff. Then it circles around the neighborhood and all that stuff like that. Then a woman who's paying her taxes ends up getting her son killed by guns that were circulated by the government in the first place. And he's going to the funeral. And then her other son is still up in the streets and stuff like that. And, okay. Oh, is my internet better again? It just said it was unstable for that.
Yeah, it was unstable for a little bit, but you're good now. You're good now.
So and that's it's just a lot, bro. And this country is so messed up. It is so messed up. But like, yeah, and then
like when it comes to guns, I've always had the sorry.
No, you go.
I was saying that like when it comes to guns, I've pretty much always had the same like outlook on it, where it's like I don't really understand people's need or desire to own a firearm. Like I get it if they go hunting and everything, like our granddad does. He goes hunting during like the seasons and whatnot, and yeah, I get that. Like that's understandable to me. I can understand that, but then it's like, okay, well, I want a gun for protection. I'm like, okay, yeah, like you can have a gun. Like, I understand that you may not feel safe wherever you're living, but that doesn't mean that you need to have like a military grade firearm. Like, I'm not saying that like I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to like arm yourself in a way to feel safer. I get that guns help people feel safe, but there's a point in time where you've got to be like, okay, why do I need an M4 to go out hunting a deer? Like just realistically, why would I need an automatic rifle if I'm going out hunting?
Yeah.
Someone please explain it to me. And people are going to be like, oh yeah, it's the Democrats trying to take away our guns again. I'm like, that's not the point we're getting at here. The point we're getting at is that gun laws themselves have remained unchanged for Lord knows how long. And the fact of the matter is, with them staying the way they are, it should have been changed sooner. I mean, like when you look back at stuff like the Sandy Hook incident or any school shooting, really, the fact that we have had a quite literal year where multiple school shootings happened and nothing changed, like that's kind of a big red flag, you know? Like, at what point are we going to finally realize that, like, hey, maybe the lives and livelihood of our students are more important than owning a firearm within our own house? Like, it's just one of those things that's so surprising to me, where it's like, oh yeah, we need our guns for this, and this, and I'm like, not really. Like,
that's what's funny about that is, like places like the UK and Canada, they don't have guns as much as us, not nearly as much. And so, they be having those memes about them trying to knife people for money and stuff like that. Hey, yo, bruv, what you doing? Wait, what? What? Dang, I can't get my British boy. Hey, yo, bruv, what you doing there? Well, I'll knife you. Like, it's like those little things, and that just be so funny to me, because in here it's quicker, because it's like ain't no way you dodging this gun. And whereas over there, they have a whole bunch of knifing issues and stuff like that. and we got straight up gun issues because people got quick triggers because they think they all that in a bag of chips with a gun in their hand. So it's tough out here.
It is.
But yeah, so that's that's really about the news today. And yeah, America.
Oh yeah.
Get your stuff together. Please.
Land of the free and the not so free.
Yep. And so this I guess it goes to our next topic. So this is I was thinking about because you people who don't know you you changed your major and stuff like that, right? And so I just wanted a look into that little process. You the topic in general is finding your purpose in college, right? Exploring and being able to take chances and getting out of your comfort zone to get to where you are right now. So if you want, you did start off, graduated from Brown Deer High School, the good old dirty deer, and then you went to MSOE, and so I guess you can just start from there, I guess.
Yeah. So my college for me it's been a ride. Let's put it that way. After graduating in 2016 and getting accepted to MSOE, I thought that I was gonna get in here. I was gonna have just a great time in college, and these 4 years are gonna go by. And as I got into it, I started working on it. Then I realized that because I was going for a degree in software engineering at the time, because I do like programming, but I got into it, and at MSOE, at least specifically, I felt that even with the stuff that I had, I felt so much more behind than everybody else. I don't know what it was, if it was just the fact that Brown Deer didn't really have any programming class. So I was coming with nothing. Which wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but I had some personal stuff happen in my life, and I just fell into this state of depression. So I withdrew from there. I was like, all right, I'm going to go to MATC, just go there, get some general stuff done, and just kind of figure my way out from there.
And MATC is a technical university, Milwaukee area technical college. So, you basically get your associate's degree, whatever, get your little basic gen eds out the way. All right, but continue.
Yeah. But yeah, so after leaving MSOE and heading over to MATC, I was like, all right, I picked up a part-time job working at Best Buy. I was like, all right, I'll just do part-time in school, save up some money, move back in with parents and everything out of the dorms. And while I was there getting through my math class and everything, I ended up taking a sociology class with a professor who I really enjoyed. Her name was Dr. Malone. Unfortunately, I do not think she works there anymore, but
Dr. Malone.
The first class that I took with her was African American Studies.
Ooh,
and I was like, because my brother was like, hey, look, you can either take an economics class or you can take this class called African American Studies. So obviously I'm going to take African American Studies. Why wouldn't I? Yeah. So I took that class, got the book and everything, met the professor, and it was legitimately one of the best classes that I have ever taken. I ended up taking another class with her that was called Social Problems, and I loved those classes. And around the time I started taking social problems again, I'm like, okay, I want to get into programming again. So I picked up MATC's programming courses, ended up meeting some really cool people there. I actually got to create just a really basic 2D platformer game. It was me and a group of 6 other people, and it was a great time. I was enjoying it. I was doing well in my studies again. And then after that, I ended up transferring over to UW Milwaukee, still with the programming major. Went through my first semester, did really well. Then as I got into this second semester, the semester where we are right now, I hit a point where I was just I don't really think that I'm doing programming because I want to do it. And it's not necessarily because of the math or anything, but it took some serious thinking on my end where I took a step back and I was just like, why am I doing programming? And I thought about it, and I've always had this feeling of I have to be within a STEM field to, in the eyes of our dad's side of the family, to be successful. Mm-hmm. Julian can attest to this, but like back in seventh grade, our aunt would come in and be like, all right, it's time to go to a college fair. And like thinking back, I'm like, I was in seventh grade. I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do with my life yet. Like, I don't even know where I'm going to high school yet. And this entire idea stuck around with me for an extended period of time. And so it made me think like, all right, I need to be within a STEM field. I'll pick programming because it's a highly profitable field. And it looks kind of fun, at least to me. And so I was always in myself like, okay, programming is what I got to do. And there is no other option. So when I took the sociology classes, and I was like, at that point in time was the first time I thought to myself like, hey, I think I want to be a sociology major. And I remember telling one of my family members this, and they just said, yeah, no, don't do that. Like, don't do that. Be a programming major. And so at that point in time, I was at MHC, I just shut down any thoughts of being a sociology major, no, at all. Like, even though I enjoyed it more and like I did exceedingly well, like I went to a once a month meeting called community brainstorming, which is with like people who are running to be like politicians as well as like other people within the community. And I was up there and I was asking questions that was throwing them off because they're like, who's this guy? He's like 19 at the time and he's asking questions that we can't answer straight up. And and so like I like pushed all that away and was like, all right, back to programming. But then back in February, I kind of broke down a little bit. I was like, okay, I don't think that I'm doing this because I want to do it. I think that I'm only doing this because it's what it feels like I have to do. And realizing that is what helped me realize that like, look, there's more to go into college than just STEM fields and doing what you think your parents or your family wants you to do.
Yeah.
Like when it comes down to it, like this is going to be your life and the decisions you make are what you have to live with. So you shouldn't really let what other people think you should do impact that. Because yeah, I could have finished out and became a programming major, but then it's like I wouldn't have been happy. I would have told myself I was happy, but I wouldn't have been.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I called up my advisor and I'm like, hey, I think that I want to be a sociology major. And they're like, all right, cool. I dropped some classes I didn't need, kept one because it goes towards everything. They're like, hey, look, like you can be done within the next like 2.5 years. I'm like, all right, fine. That's fine with me. Because another big thing that I wish more people knew about when they're going into college is that it's not a race. Like realistically, not every single person finishes within 4 years. There's different situations that come up and arise that prevent people from doing that, whether they have stuff going on at home, whether they can only be a part-time student. Like life is going to happen and it's going to hit you hard half the time. But the important thing is how you react to that. Like what really matters is the fact that you got to get back up, reassert yourself, figure out what happened, what went wrong. Do you need to change some stuff up, or was it just something that happened out of the blue? And then once you figure that stuff out, you just got to kind of keep chugging along at it. I'm not saying go back in full force and just try to take on like 16 credits when you just had some stuff happen to you, but don't stop is the important thing. Like no matter what, even if you got to withdraw for a semester because of whatever happened, the important thing is that you go back. College isn't really about like getting in and getting done within 4 years. College, at least in my opinion, is about going, learning new things, as well as figuring out what you really want to do with your life. If you didn't have it,
very big decision. Very big decision.
And once you begin to understand what it is that you want to do, you just got to keep working at it. Like it's not a sprint. It's not a 100-meter dash. This is more like a 2-mile cross-country event, and like you just got to keep pounding away at it.
3.1 miles, but we're not getting to
3.1 miles. My bad.
I did cross country. 5Ks. 5Ks. But dude, that you hit hit the tooth on the nail. If that's the right saying, right?
The tooth on the
yeah. But I want to backtrack real quick. I am a journalism major, but so is it breaking up at all or no?
A little bit, but I can still hear it.
That's what I thought. I kind of tell because you had a little thinking face, like what the heck did he just say? So 2016 graduated, and it was into 2017 that you got out of MSUE, right?
Yep.
I just want people to realize this timeline and why you're saying it's a marathon and not a sprint. And then in 2017 fall is when you went back to MATC, if I'm not mistaken. It was 2017 fall, and then and then you were there for a while because you're doing part-time, so you don't get the credits as fast. And so then you didn't go to MATC to this 2020, right?
Yep,
UWM to 2020, right? And now you're still doing it, and then you just changed your major in 2020. And that's 4 years already. And then when is your on track to graduate again? I just want you to say, I know, but I don't want you to say it.
It should be like it should be around like summer 23, roughly, depending on how many credits that I take. Still figuring that out because life is still coming at me, but hanging in there.
And so if y'all didn't know, that is actually my graduation time as well. I'm spring 2023. Either way, but still, it's a testament to that. And when you said that the fact about the STEM major and you wanting to basically make mom and dad proud with whatever that you wanted to do with your major, that is the same exact thing that I go to. And when you said that you had like a little breakdown real quick and you were like, man, I just like doesn't feel right now. Like what you're doing doesn't feel right. And that's exactly what happened to me in the fall of 2020. It was about in the middle of the semester. I think it was right after little midterms, whatever. And I had a panic attack. Like that never happens to me because, as y'all know, my mental is usually pretty good. And I'm usually the most jovial person in the room. I do have other stuff to deal with, whatever. And I usually am able to hide or whatever well. But that time it really just hit me. Like I lost my sense of the air around me and stuff. Like my heart was beating fast. I was breathing hard, and everything was just like, oh my gosh. Like I feel like I'm just under attack because I'm like, I don't like what I'm doing right now. And if I was on campus, I guarantee you I wouldn't have felt it as much because I would have been stuck in the moment of living a college lifestyle. And I think that also helped you as well, because when you're having fun, it's hard to take that step back and realize that you're not on the right trajectory. But when during this COVID thing, which is probably the greatest thing and the worst thing that's ever happened to me, is because I've gotten the time to sit down and just really reflect, because I don't have anything else to do for the most part. I don't have events that I can go to like that. I don't have friends that I can hang out with as much. I do have friends here, but in college, hanging with friends is very different from being at home and then hanging with friends separately when you have the chance and stuff. And so that all made me be able to have that little panic attack and have that moment, and me having to call Auntie Robin and be like, okay, I don't want to do this major. I wanted to teach because I thought it'd be the best way for me to make money. Oh, and it's unstable again. Okay, cool. Am I back now? Am I
You're
back
back
now? Okay. So, and I chose teaching, and I said this in a previous podcast. I chose teaching because I wanted to have something stable, something that was gonna make me some money, whatever, and then I could pursue singing and acting. But I wasn't gonna be happy with it. The classes I was taking, I did not like. I didn't like them. I was good at them. I could do it. I don't like reading like that still to this day. I don't care. I just don't. But for me to take this leap and do something I like, and I got an internship the other day now for this other podcast thing. And that's just for me changing my major. And then the teachers that I have brought in somebody that had stuff going for her, stuff like that. And the reason why I chose this major because of connections. And because I knew I would be out there, I knew I can get more internships. I knew I can do more things with it. And I love people. And as a teacher, you're not going to see people as much. You can see these children, But like that's why I chose what I did. And that's why you chose what you did, because it spoke to you. And I'm happy that I made my decision. He's happy that he made his decision. We both went through similar things in trying to look up to the expectations of our parents. But the biggest expectations that you can feel are the ones that you set for yourselves, because those are neither high or low. They're just your expectations. You see what I'm saying? Like when everybody else sets it, is high or low. But when it's just you who sets the expectations, that's just what it is. And I'm glad that we both realize that, and that we're both heading on our trajectory, and both of our majors tie in actually pretty well with one another. Because I'm a reporter and stuff like that, and really into different multimedia stuff, which is why I started this podcast in the first place. And you're into just really issues in general, and sociologists, they would come on shows like this. They'd be able to speak their mind about different types of things in nature. So I think me and you will end up doing a lot more stuff. And even though we haven't talked as much each other since you went to college and stuff, I feel like recently we've been talking to each other a lot more.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like it's just beginning of something for all of us. And I hope Joe ends up, little bro Joe, he's 6 years younger than me and 8 years younger than Justin. I hope that he's able to find his way as well. And that's just what it is. Please just take time to figure out what's going on in college, because now he's graduating around the same time as me. But we're still on the right path, and he's still under 25. Like my brother is still under 25. He's going to be 23 when he graduate. Wait, 22. Sorry, 22. 1999. So
I'm 22 right now.
Wait, no, 24. My bad. my brain is tweaking right now because I'm gonna be a junior next year. So 2 more years, I'll be 20. I'll be 22. I got my years mixed up real quick.
Yep.
But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. All right, guys, got that? You learned that from good old Uncle Juju and Uncle Jay. All right, cool. But yeah. So and that that gets me to the next thing that I had on here. Man, we're going through it today. It's a pretty good podcast. Thanks for coming on again, Jay.
Oh yeah, anytime.
So this actually goes into, this is kind of like a segue from the last thing, and it's a segment I like to call the Versatile 3, right? So the Versatile 3 basically is 3 topics that are kind of related to each other but still are different, and then they all tie in together with one another. So the first topic is freelance work. Basically, what I'm doing right now. Like stuff like what's your take on like how people should go into that? Because I know you say you're trying to stream and stuff, and so yeah, I'll let you talk though. But yeah.
So when it comes to freelance work, the most important thing is consistency. I would say, like, especially if you're just starting out, like you may not have your own style set in stone yet, but the big thing is that you just get yourself out there. You just got to get yourself out there, start like just let's talk about streaming, I guess, for example. Let's start there. So it's all about just like getting out there, trying to have like somewhat of a schedule that you can work around and morph that schedule around like school, work, whatever else you're doing. But the important thing is sitting down and actively just trying to do it. Like as you get started and get it going, and the more people, even if it's only a couple people at first, the more people that start to notice you and hop in to like watch and chill for a bit, that will help you realize like, okay, here's how I currently do things. And then based on what people are telling me, because feedback is always good. Always got
criticism and constructive criticism.
We love constructive criticism. If you got to be able to take that in and be like, okay, here's what I was doing, here was what was working, here's what people liked. And it's all about just like constantly building on what you're already doing. Because like freelancing, it's one of those things where like it's not guaranteed to blow up, but it can. And I'm not saying that you should let that deter you from doing that if it's something that you think that you'll legitimately enjoy. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go into it with the idea of making money off it or anything like that. Like what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that like if you're going to go into it, like go into it and let it be something that you're going to allow yourself to have fun with. Don't necessarily let it always be like, oh, it's just another job or anything like that. Like if you're going to freelance, be passionate about it. Enjoy the time that you put into it. Like, yeah, there may come a time where you'll have people who just come down here to hate on you just because they can. But in the end, like your friends and the people who you care about are going to be there for you, and they're going to come in when they can to stop by and see what you're doing, and maybe they'll throw some money at you or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is, like, freelance work, I feel like, is one of those things that is very freeing for someone, especially like when you're already working in like a capitalist society where it's like, oh, you go in, clock in from your 9 to 5 job, 30-minute lunch, go home. This freelancing gives people the opportunity to be able to express themselves with their own set of rules, obviously following the community guidelines. Let's not be ridiculous, but it allows them to express themselves in a way that no other employer potentially can. So I think that freelance work is something that, like, hey, if it's something that you're interested in, just go for it. Whether you're a photographer, a streamer, someone who's starting up their own podcast, just get out there and do it and have a good time while you're doing it.
Yeah, and again, you touched on it real quick, but like, it's free land, free. No, let me say no, free. It's free. So have fun with it. All right. Please have fun with it. And that leads to the second part of the Versatility. And so making your own schedule, something you also touched on a bit, especially if you're going to do freelance work, like you said, but making your own schedule in terms of work that you 9 to 5 or whatever other job you have, plus your family time, your friend time, your leisure time, your freelance stuff, like, just all that. So like, I guess, touch on that real quick.
Yeah. So as it pertains to freelancing, like, having a schedule is always a good thing, but I feel like some problems that certain content creators like fall into is when it turns from being fun into just being a job and just something that you do. And because it's very important to realize that, okay, I'm going to end up streaming on these days after work, but you also need to make sure you still, like you said, have time where you can just live out your private life or spend time with family, significant other, friends, things like that. Because you don't necessarily want any one thing to just take over your entire life. You want to still have that sense of self where it's like, okay, I'm not doing my freelance work today. I'm just gonna go out or stay at home, hit up some friends, and just chill, enjoy myself for a little bit. Because the it is all about the grind and how much you put into it, but you can burn yourself out if you go too hard at it. Like, it's okay to take days where it's like, hey, something happened, or I'm not feeling well, I'm going to reschedule it, we'll do it a different day. Because when it comes down to it, you still got to take the time to take care of yourself and what you got to do. It's because it's free. You can do it when you want. You essentially make your own schedule. And while being consistent is important, you can't be at a point where it's like, oh, well, this just happened, but I have to stream. Like, no, if something happened and you're sick or anything like that, go take care of that. Yeah. Like, if you're a content creator, you shouldn't put your own health and mental stability on the line just to get the new video out. Like, it's all right to take breaks.
Facts. I definitely understand that, man. And make sure health before wealth. Health before wealth. Mm-hmm. And that's that I'm trying to get my stuff together now. With this, trying to be able to find a schedule, but then when you have school and all that stuff, and then when you have too much free time on your hands sometimes, then you tend to just put stuff off of stuff. Not an excuse, at all. Just reality of the situation, which is something I like to say a lot. But I'm getting my stuff together slowly. And if you need to take a break from things, then that's cool. And whether you want to tell everybody or not, that's up to you, especially if you have a large following. And there goes my connection again. Okay. All right, there it is. And we're back. But if you need to take a break from things, that's cool. Just come back eventually and, do what you love again. If you need to do it for mental health, or if you need to do it for other reasons because you got another bigger plan on the way, then do what you got to do. And hopefully your fans and everything, they will understand, and your family as well and all that. They'll understand. Take some alone time, it takes some alone time. And then the last thing on here is staying active, exercise, and if your fun includes exercising and stuff with family, friends, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the last part of it. But yeah. So,
and I feel like a lot of people when they hear like healthy, they think that like, oh, I need to be going to the gym like 4 to 5 days a week, and I need to be making X number of gains in this amount of time. But really, health and just that whole concept doesn't always mean that like you have to be physically strong or things like that. Like health, when it comes down to it, it can be as simple as like, hey, let's stop eating out as much. Like you can, yeah, it's always like a decent place to start. Like, hey, let's go out to the store, go to Pick and Save, grab some food. Let's cook dinner, because you're then that I think is always like a good place for people to start when they're looking at just trying to be healthier, because it's not like you have to form some type of like commitment to a gym where you're paying monthly, but it's a way for you to change up your daily routine in a positive way, so that you're cooking more often, you're making healthier food, but you're also ending up saving yourself some money. Like think about it, when you order DoorDash for just one person after like taxes, delivery fees, that's like $20, if not more sometimes.
It's a lot. It's a lot, bro. Trust me, I know. It's a lot.
And like you think about that, then for that same amount of money, you can go to like your nearby grocery store, spend the same amount, and you can have food that'll last you like 2 to 3 days half the time, depending on what you get. Like say that you go buy like a thing of ground beef for $10 roughly, make some burgers with half of it, and you got food there. Then the rest of it you could turn into ground beef, end up making like nachos, tacos, stuff like that, and you end up spending the same amount of money, but you're getting food that's not only better for you than getting McDonald's or whatever fast food place X number of times out of the week, but you're also putting more money back into your pocket that it allows you to build up a better savings, so that when a time comes and it's like, hey, I want to go do this thing, you have a little bit of extra dollars in your pocket to be able to go out and enjoy yourself. And then you can choose from there if you want to build on top of that, where it's like, okay, well, I've changed up my diet and that's going really well. Like set goals for yourself, but set reasonable goals.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
I don't want you to go out and be like, oh, well, I haven't worked out in years, and I want to be able to run like I want to be able to run like a 15-minute 2-mile after not doing any type of exercise for so long. Like be
in 1 month.
Yeah, in
like,
1 month.
No, you're gonna need like 6 probably.
Like set reachable goals. It's got to be like steps. You can have like an easy way, I guess, to break it down would be like you can have like the pinnacle goal, the goal at the very top of that hill that you want to get to, but have little milestones in between there to help keep yourself motivated when it comes down to this. Like if your end goal is that you want to be able to run like a 15-minute mile, you're like, okay, well, I want to start with, I want to run a mile without stopping. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I just want to run a mile.
Without stopping.
Then after you can do that without stopping, I feel like that's a decent place enough to start.
Yeah.
And then once you hit that goal, be like, okay, well, now I want to be able to do this mile in this amount of time, and you keep working towards it.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like if you haven't been in a physically fit state of being, like it's not going to happen immediately. But if you allow yourself to have those smaller victories to keep yourself going, then you can get to that end goal that you want. So, and that can be applied to a lot of stuff as opposed to just health, because like being healthy, like I said before, doesn't mean that like I need to be bench pressing 200 pounds 10 times at the gym, and I go to the gym 5 times a week and I only take breaks 2 days out of the week and Fridays are for cardio. It means that like, hey, let's wake up a little bit earlier than normal, go out to the gym, go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Get outside. And I'm subject to this myself. I should go outside. I say this as my girlfriend looks at me, giving me some side eye, and is like, "Yeah, you do need to go outside more." Like I know. I could use a little more vitamin D in my life, and I'm working on it. Anyway, when it comes down to it, like you gotta take little baby steps at first. Like Julian said, like, hey, you wanna wake up early, let's go for a walk. It's a nice day out. Let's go out to the beach. Just get out. Don't let yourself, and I know that this is like very rough to say because like we've been in a pandemic for the past year.
Yeah.
People's New Year's resolutions literally got thrown out the window and it wasn't under their control. Like I was going to the gym for a month straight and then it's like COVID. And I'm like, well, I can't go to the gym anymore. But thankfully we're coming around the bend on this. Like the vaccine is thankfully becoming more accessible.
Get your vaccine.
Please do.
Get your vaccine.
Like get your shots. Please mask up until like we have everybody like healthy and vaccinated. Like just because you have the vaccine doesn't mean you can't be a carrier for anybody else. Please realize this and think about your fellow person. I'm begging you. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. With us coming around the bend on this, we've been cooped up inside for a year, guys. Like March has already ended, and I'm still processing March of 2020. It
was a blur. It was a whole bunch of nothing for me.
Like when I tell you that like February was ending, and I looked at my manager at Best Buy, and I was like, dude, it's almost March again. Like it was a wild ride.
Yeah.
But we're slowly getting back to a normal, and let's be honest with me, people. Like we've been cooped up inside for 365 plus days. You're gonna look at me and tell me you don't want to get out even a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I'm an introvert and a homebody, and even I got sick of being inside all the time.
Yeah.
So with this pandemic situation coming to a close, let's go back to how it was in the summer of 2016 when Pokemon Go first came out. We had everybody. I mean, we had everybody outside. It got so bad.
People don't even play Pokemon and was playing it.
Dude, when I tell you that, okay, so I live by the lake right now, and there's a park over on Lake Drive out here in Milwaukee. And the people who own the park literally had to impose a curfew on people because we would be out there at midnight, and obviously you had people making a mess and be like, all right, you can't be at the park past 10 o'clock. It still was so bad that they had to get in contact with Niantic and be like, we need you to remove the Pokestops from this park. Don't want this many people here anymore. But let's get back to something akin to that. Like, let's go outside, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Go get some friends. Just go hang out.
Yeah, and and it's, that's really just what it is. Go do stuff, We're humans. We weren't meant to stay cooped up in the house. No one was. Hunter gatherers is what we were first, stuff like that. So why don't we go back to just, going out and just do stuff for a little bit. Whether that's like it was before the pandemic and Pokemon Go days, oh my gosh, and or find some type of balance in between. And then really, to get to the grand scheme of things, just all those things, the freelance work, the making your own schedule and staying active, those are all things that you need to just do for yourself. And it shouldn't be something that someone has to tell you to do. It's just stuff that you should want to do for yourself to make yourself better, to diversify yourself, to just become a better person overall. And hopefully that goes somewhere for you. And who knows, maybe you might meet some cool people along the way. And so now, just to get into some little end of the show type of topics real quick. So y'all can't see this, but I got this beautiful anime shirt on right now with RDC World on it, and it's like that. All right, like let's just say it's a worthy investment, and go show you I love anime. And if y'all ain't know, y'all click off the show now, unless if you don't like anime, whatever. I don't care. All right, listen, okay. It's it's whatever. All right, cool. We got the legit stuff out the way. So, and we just went through probably one of the greatest sections, like just seasons of anime from fall to winter was oh my gosh, it was so amazing. You had Black Clover throughout the whole thing. You had One Piece throughout the whole thing. You had Fire Force was ending its second season. You had this is a romance anime, Tony Kawa. I love that. I love that one too. That show was good as well. You had
let's not forget about Jujutsu Kaisen.
I was getting to it. Jujutsu Kaisen.
All right, I'm just making sure.
You had ReZero. I loved it. My friend, hey, shout out to my friend Kamari. My boy, bro, you put me onto that. I ain't gonna lie. That show is, they be talking their butts off, but it's good. Man, it's good writing. And dang on, I miss Attack on freaking Titan, man. And wait, there's a few more. Haikyuu. Oh my gosh, I love that show. I never thought I'd be really into a sports anime until Haikyuu came along. Shout out to my boy Cameron Prescott. I know you remember Cam Prescott. He put me on that too. And there's like a few more. Boruto finally started getting really good. And dang, this I'm missing something else. Dr. Stone. I mean, bottom line is the anime was lit for a while, and for me having a lot of time on my hands, having to watch those on the Mondays and then the Tuesdays and then the Wednesdays and the Thursdays and then the Fridays and then the Saturdays and then the Sundays and then reading manga too. This is a great time for anime, and now I'm like, bro, what am I doing now? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh. But
like this was definitely one of the like greater seasons we've had. And like even thinking about like how we were growing up, it was just like growing up, it was you had Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. That was it. There was no other option. And if there was, no one knew about it. But now we're at this point where so many different studios are available to be able to produce all these anime, and the quality of it has been extremely good for the most part of them. Like I wasn't intending on ever watching Black Clover. I watched like most of the first arc, and I'm just like,
shout out Juju.
it was you. And I'll admit, Asta is one of the most annoying characters when you first meet him, and no one can tell me otherwise.
No, he's annoying, but I don't.
He is that annoying little brother that will not stop bugging you about the smallest thing, and I'm just like, bro, you need to chill. But after I picked it back up again, and I'm like, okay, let's give it another shot. And I got into it. It all really like started ramping up when the first time you see the Diamond Kingdom's army and they're fighting in that temple, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of good now. I can kind of get into this. And
that
then
was the first good arc. So like,
it was,
so
but then
you didn't even give it a chance. Like,
yeah, I didn't get past him first joining the Black Bulls. I do not think I got to the Magic Knights testing. I don't think I got there. I think I watched 2 episodes and was like, I can't do it. But Black Clover, like, first off, you have to respect it. The fact that they've been running the show for quite literally like 3.5 years straight, no breaks.
2017.
Yeah, it was like December 2017. And being able to keep up with all of this, like, first off, shout out to like all the animators that worked on it, because when it comes into it, like, animators, I feel like don't get the respect and love that they need.
No, they be going, especially manga ones. They said, who was it? Somebody's had, was it Akira? No, it wasn't Akira. It was Hashi. I don't remember the names, but like the dude's dad died, and they're like, bro, you still got to put out your manga issue next week. And I'm just like, dang. I'm like, y'all deserve all the love in the world, bro. Like, shoot, man, y'all create a whole culture, bro. And that's, man, yeah. But continue, Jay. Yeah.
But yeah, like being able to like watch Black Clover now and be like, man, like I'm so glad I hopped back onto this, because the writing in it is actually really good. I enjoy just like the constant parallels between Asta and Yuno, and how like, yes, they were both orphans, but they both have like their own things that make them unique. and being able to do that without feeling the need to go the route of Naruto Sasuke and making them hate each other, but instead having them have this constant competition between the two of them and actually caring for each other throughout the entire series. I feel like that in itself is already like really a good way to express your characters without having to make them hate one another. Like being able to express a rivalry without having them be on opposing sides is a definite plus in my book.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And then you
episode
get
where they actually
stuff
fight.
like Jujutsu Kaisen, which, whew, yeah, man, that'd be great. Because like I'm caught up in the manga. I know Julian isn't currently. Yeah. That being said, the manga is not too far ahead of what the anime ended for Black Clover. Yeah, sorry. But when this next season comes out, it's about to go crazy. Like Garrett. Oh, sorry, movie. My bad. Right, they're doing a whole movie on. Ooh.
Like 2 hours long.
It's gonna be great. But going aside from that, like there's been a rise of really good shonen anime again. Like we're getting to a point where it's like there's the new big three, you know, like you got your My Hero, your Black Clover.
Big three at this point. It's something.
Well, it's 2 plus One Piece. Let's be honest.
I mean, well, One Piece is in a class of itself. Like, because it's just been going on for so long, and you need to catch up, but that's neither here or there.
Dude, it's too many episodes. Like,
I'm doing nothing right now.
Okay, fair, but I'll say I'm more likely to read it than I am to watch it.
I'll give you that. But yeah, you saying what were you saying about Jujutsu Kaisen again?
Oh yeah, so like Jujutsu Kaisen, like I remember I saw like the first trailer for it, and I'm like, whatever, it's gonna be another like run-of-the-mill shonen. Okay, when I tell you that like Jujutsu Kaisen was probably my favorite anime of this season, go watch it, please. Like, please. Jujutsu Kaisen, like first off, the abilities that they have in the show, it's about pure synergy. Like that by itself is interesting enough to get someone interested and be like, oh, okay, like this is how like curse synergy differs from people to people. This is how curses are made and things like that. That power structure by itself and the possibilities of it already got me on board. But then you have the writing and the characterization of everybody within the show, and you're just like, you got yourself some gold right here. Not to mention, Studio Mappa did a phenomenal job with the animation. They had the best
season of anime. They had the top 2 anime. There's nothing else. They had the top 2. They had Jujutsu Kaisen and Attack on Titan, and they were it switched to Mappa, and Mappa's like, we got this. Like, we got this, all right? We got this. I was like, oh my gosh, bro. They just too lit, man. Oh, man, dude. But you know, continue.
Now, that being said, with all the new anime coming out, like, I'm gonna say this now because I believe Mappa is doing this as well. But when Chainsaw Man happens, because it was announced that there's a manga, it's called Chainsaw Man. Very good. I'm telling you, if you don't go read it, please watch it because I guarantee you it'll be worth your time. But with all this new anime coming out, let's not forget about the return of Bleach this summer.
Bleach. I can't wait. I cannot, like, I love Bleach. Man. Oh man.
So for those of you that don't know, Julian and I, we grew up with Bleach thanks to our uncle. We went down to Texas and he's like, hey, you want to watch this new anime with me? We're like, all right, sure, whatever. I think I was 7 and you were 5, maybe.
I was young. I was 6.
Yeah.
I think I was 6.
So like he put us on Bleach, and Bleach, like everything for Bleach going up through the Sosuke Aizen arc, absolute beautiful. Loved it. Like I feel like Bleach is one of those anime that no one talks about anymore. When it was one of Shonen Jump's big 3 headlines. Like, yes, the Fullbring arc wasn't the greatest.
It was all right for me. I mean, I'm not as critical as other people. So, like, a lot of things for me, like, a lot of people are like, oh, my gosh, it was... I'm like, bro, it's not that serious. Like, it was a good arc. It wasn't the greatest Bleach arc. And a lot of the Bleach arcs, they really have 2 main arcs. Well, 3 if you count that filler arc with the Zanpakuto. But
the only filler hold up real quick. Speaking on that, the only filler arc I will ever tell anybody to watch is the Zanpakuto arc from Bleach. It's the only legitimate good filler that has ever happened to an anime.
Anyway, I agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. But it's that one, the rescue Rukia, and of course Hueco Mundo, which is really 2 parts because it's just so long. Where they go to Hueco Mundo, and then when they come back to the real world and fight whatever. But the Bleach is just Getsu got Tensho. All right, that's all I gotta say. Oh man, dude. But yeah, anime is just.
Speaking of new anime, back to the topic at hand though. There's an anime that my girlfriend and I actually gonna start watching. It's on Netflix. It's called Way of the Household Husband. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's I know you got the face like, what is this? But hear me out, right? So the premise of the show is this guy who's a Yakuza member, like head of the Yakuza. Right. Something happened, like people thought he was dead. He comes back, and instead of being a revenge story, he comes back, gets married, has a kid, and just tries to live a day-to-day life. And that's the whole premise. And when you see like what he looks like look up what the main character looks like. I mean, he's got the scars, the glasses, the like Hawaiian shirt, and he's over here like I saw a clip and he's talking to his kid and he's like, all right, so if there's 7 gangsters and 3 of them die, how many are left? And the kid's like, oh, I know, 4. He's like, yeah, good job. And I'm like, dude. Like, okay, yeah, it's one of those things where like it's such an out there idea.
No, I'm looking at it right now, and yeah. I mean, this is about what I expect. I expected more scars, though.
That's right. But like, it's one of those things. I really enjoy anime that looks to be like a subversion of the genre. Think One Punch Man is how it's like a subversion of the hero shonen genre by just making a completely overpowered character who's generally uninterested in anything other than just being a hero. He's not out here trying to boast about how strong he is. He just is, and that's the matter of the fact. And that is what makes it funny, and that's what makes it good. I've watched the first season at least 4 times now. We don't need to talk about season 2.
I like season 2 still.
Season 2 isn't bad. It was the switch of the animation studio that did it for me, and I was like, it's still good.
It's too technical stuff for me. I just like to enjoy it.
That's fair. That's fair. Hey.
You know. Like I don't like to be critical, super critical. I just like to enjoy what it is. And I'm grateful that I'm able to do that myself. Like I suck at comparing stuff. I've realized that with myself. I suck at like when people be like, bro, especially with basketball and stuff. I mean, I love basketball and stuff like that, and I can tell different things. But like me, I don't like to compare exactly, especially I got drowned out because of Michael Jordan versus Kobe, Michael Jordan versus Bron. Oh, that stuff drained me, and like now I just appreciate stuff for what it is, especially after Kobe's death. Rest in peace to the greatest, one of the greatest. And that goes into anime too. Like I had this friend who was like, Black Clover is trash. It's a direct copy and paste from Naruto and like the Austin, the rivalry. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, you're too critical for your own good. Like, just appreciate art for what it is, because people take inspiration from things all the time, and it's a matter of how do you use that same type of formula now. And I feel like a lot of people just gotta learn how to appreciate stuff. And in other situations, I get it. If you totally copycat and all that type of stuff, I get it. But I'm just saying, let's try to appreciate just things for just being what they are, for people for what they are too, but yeah, and not everything has to be a competition or comparison. But yeah, that's but yeah.
Speaking on that, please let's not bring back the whole Goku can be your favorite anime character. That was the most annoying thing.
Because he will. It's he's the power scale. This is another thing I hate. The power scale is too different. So they'll try to like the other day they were like, Goku and Jinmori, if you take away the power scales, like just martial arts, who would win? I'm like, that's a dumb question, because that's what make Goku what he is and stuff. You can't. How can you truly compare martial arts skills when we don't have enough in-depth knowledge to really understand who would actually win that stuff? Whose martial arts stuff is stronger and stuff? Because martial arts also goes in with strength as well. And then when you take away the strength and stuff, and you take away power skills, what are you weighing at that point? It's like, what are you weighing at that point? Mm-hmm. And so I'm just like, don't even compare them. And do you follow black anime dude on Twitter? Anime, I forgot what his name is. HBCU anime.
I don't think so.
Dude, you gotta follow them. They drop the best content and stuff for that. And he said, somebody was like, who would win between Naruto and Ichigo, and like the Naruto characters and Bleach characters. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I was thinking Naruto, but I was like, wait, they could fly in Bleach. Their attacks are way more ranged. I was like, dang, yeah, Bleach would dang near win. Because he was like, everybody in Bleach will whoop Naruto and stuff. Well, not Naruto specifically, but a lot of other characters and stuff like that. Because the only people that have super long range stuff, or like stuff that attacks that conquer a wide radius, would be Naruto, Sasuke, Madara, the tail beasts. Besides that, they're just regular ninjas, and they'll probably get their butts kicked by Soul Reapers. Like, and so that's again, I'm like, power scales and stuff like that. I just don't. It's just unnecessary for me to do that. Now in video games, that's different, because then everybody's power scale is about the same, and then we just fight each other. But you know, but when we try to do these conversations, it's like it's pointless, because if we're just gonna argue on, and if someone disagrees, then it's just going on forever. But yeah, that's anime, everybody, and I want to get to the end of this podcast. We drain it. It's about an hour and a half or so, something like that. But the last thing that I did have, so
we've been going for a while.
Yeah, so 2 episodes ago. Oh, there it is. Let's wait for it. Let's wait. Okay, there it is. Okay, we're back, and better than ever than we were 10 seconds ago. So I talked about our favorite childhood stories, right, with my friend Amos, and so his was this honey bun story or whatever, and mine, if you can remember this, was when, remember, I was pouring too much milk in the eggs, right? And then and so I told that story, and oh my gosh, dude, that man, woo! And so I was gonna tell him another story. I'll tell mine. You can tell yours to end it. And my story was, remember when we were going to baseball practice? and so our dad back then had a BlackBerry and stuff like that, essential / non-essential information. And so we're in the car just waiting to go. My dad had like a black van back then, right? So my dad's in the front seat, of course, he's the driver. My brother Justin right here, he's in the back seat, and then I'm in the seat next to him. So my dad is a very busy guy. So he's just texting people. Right? He's just texting them. And then I'm like, when are we gonna leave? And I keep doing it over and over again. I keep asking him. And then he says to me, come here. And then he smacks me. He literally smacks me. He's like, get out the car. He says, get out the car. And as I'm walking to the door, he smacks me on the door. And my head bounces off the car door. And then I walk out in shame. And then, my god brother, Cody, shout out Cody, he's in the back. And they're both trying to hold themselves back from laughing so hard because I look like a fool and I just got my butt kicked. And then I go inside crying with my mom the whole time. And oh my gosh. And
man, when I tell you that, like, I was in the back seat of the van, laying across the chairs, holding my mouth shut to not make a noise, because it was so funny. But I knew if I made any noise, I'd be up next on the chopping block. Dude, the sound it made as your head hit the window and bounced off. I'm surprised the window didn't break personally, but I was dead.
Oh my gosh, bro, that was so funny. Man, you know how bad I cried after that, dude. I was crying, like, oh my gosh. Mom's like, it's okay and stuff like that, and I'm just like, man, that's tough. But but yeah, so to end off, I guess, do you have any childhood story that you remember besides that one that you can talk about? I know a few, and
Because one that I want to bring up is one that we as a family keep talking about every now and then. I was having a flag football game back in the first grade, and we played at like a park, whatever. It was not a huge organization or anything, just a small thing between some schools. And my grandma was coming to the game, and so like my grandma gets there a little late because pretty sure she has some stuff to do, and she like walks to the field and sees my dad on the other side, and she's like, okay, I guess the consensus was she thought about it and is like, I can either walk all the way back around, like an old person would do, but this is when she had a bad knee. And so she made the decision to take her and her walking stick, because those of you know what the walking stick is, the one that your grandma keeps in the back of the trunk, pulls it out for the games. She took her and that walking stick and started just trudging across the field, like straight down the field. And while this is happening, there were 2 times where the ball started to come back the other way, but she didn't care. She was like, I am here. You will respect me, and I'm going to get to the other side of this field. My dad already saw her and like tried not to make eye contact. My mom's just like, I don't know this lady, and she's just going for it. And like, she's not moving very fast. But heaven forbid one of us on the field come back her way, because I'm pretty sure that we would have just got yelled at. Like, what are you doing over here? This is my side of the field. And I would have been like, well, this is the game. She's like, well, take the game over there. And I'm just like, the absolute like, I don't know if the boldness, yes, to look at this situation, decide that I'm gonna walk across this football field during the middle of a game, and no one said anything to her about it. No one said a word, because we all knew that there was no winning this fight with Grandma Johnson. You just had to take it for what it was, and you just had to hold that.
No, not at all, man. Oh my gosh. You know what? I love you, Grandma. If you're listening, I love you.
I love you too. I love you too,
y'all
Grandma.
Crazy, man. Y'all crazy, bro. I love them. Also, shout out Believers in Christ Christian Academy. That's what he meant by BIC. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning into the podcast. I really appreciate you, specifically Justin, for coming through episode 11. Woo. So yeah. You have anything you want to shout out or anything? I know you have a Twitch, so like, you want to put that through, whatever.
Feel free to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/double_J. Also follow me on Twitter. I don't really post on Twitter a whole lot, mostly just retweet stuff. It's Justin Juelz. But feel free to give me a follow on Twitch. Currently been playing through Outriders, just having a good time.
All right. And I'll try to, I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I'm going to put people's socials in the description instead of just on here, just in case they didn't listen to the whole thing. But yeah, again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And if you stuck all the way through to the end, you're a real one. You're a real N-word, man. You're my guy. Like, you're my gal. Yeah. So again, until next time, again, thanks for tuning in to the Versatility Podcast. This is your host, Juelz, and I am signing off. And this is my brother, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right. Deuces, everybody.
Peace.